Hey guys, we're Lincoln 95, recording live from the local county prison cell. I apparently don't know how to look at a schedule and find out that the next battle is actually this Sunday and not last Sunday, so I have an opportunity to do one more video before that happens. And this one is just, once again, something that's been on the back burner for a while. I didn't want to do this because I didn't really I like the idea of it, but it didn't really analyzing it didn't really seem very interesting to me. But I figure I might as well just give it a shot and get it out of the way. So this is Dark Pit from Kid Icarus versus Lilith from Darkstalkers. The thing I like about the thing I like about this is it's two franchises I don't talk about that much. Believe you me, I've got a lot more Darkstalkers characters fights on the back burner, but it's because it's just one of those series where a lot of the characters are like a lot of other characters because they're based off stuff. Um, but also like Kid Icarus, I've done, I guess technically three Kid Icarus fights. I did the Pit versus Sora, which happened, and I think I did Palutena versus Belldandy, and then I did Dark Pit versus Riku, which was just incorrect, but I did it because of Pit versus Sora. Um, this is definitely the better Dark Pit fight. And it's pretty much the only fight I think I could put Lilith in, honestly. And that's kind of the other reason I like it. It's that, like, these two characters don't, like, they're clone characters, absolutely. Quite literally clone characters, actually, in one's case. Um, but it's not like some clone characters where it's okay, take whoever their clones of would fight, so make them fight. No, it's like we wouldn't see Pitt versus Morgan because there's no reason to. These two have a reason to fight, like thematically, and I think that's way more interesting. That like a clone character has a reason to fight another clone character whose characters are not related, who like the characters they're clones of are not related in any way. Um, but like I said, it's going to make going into it very interesting or very non-interesting because it's basically going to be a lot of compare and contrast to Pitt and Morgan. But here we go. So Dark Pit was also, I might get the lore wrong because I'm not super familiar with either of these franchises, to be honest. Um, so Dark Pit was created um, by Hades as I believe he was birthed from a dark mirror or something like that, and created as supposed to be like a dark counterpart to Pit, as the name would suggest. Um, and he has all of he has all of Pit's obtained skill. He has all of Pit's natural abilities. The main thing is that he originally had used Hades' power to fly indefinitely, whereas Pit could only use Palutena's power to fly for like 3 minutes at a time. But the other disadvantage is that the weapons he was using natively had to be given to him and weren't just like clones of Pit's weapons. So he had a select few that he liked. He had the claws. He had the staff, which doubles as a sniper rifle. He has the electric gauntlets. He has Pit's bow and twin swords naturally, so that's like something that he uses on the regular. And there's one more I thought he used. There was like one more big weapon that I thought he used, but I can't think of it at the moment. Um, After Hades was defeated, we know that Dark and this is I guess considered to be in canon, but we know that Dark Pit was made as a general in Viridi's army and turned into kind of a like now he uses Viridi's power to fly, but but it's indefinite like Palatina's power, so I guess he's back. But the point is, he in his adventures and fighting, even ended up helping Pitt defeat Hades. In his adventures, he's actually become his own person, and I guess he still goes by Dark Pit, even though he's called Pitu, but by Pit, anybody rejects that name, so I guess he calls himself Dark Pit. I don't know why he wouldn't come up with his own name, but whatever. Yeah. So, like I said, basically very similar to Pit. That's what my analysis is here. Now on to Lilith. So, Lilith was created when, what is his name? Belial, I believe his name was, the surrogate father of Morgan, or not surrogate, the adopted father of Morgan. Right? That's the right term, surrogate, whatever. The adopted father of Morgan was afraid of her demonic power becoming too strong and that she couldn't control it, so he took a portion of her soul. It's kind of back and forth on what amount it was. Like, it describes it as he split her soul in two, but then her official bio, Lilith's official bio, is that she was a third of Morgan's power, but, that's neither here nor there. So, he split Morgan's soul in two and kind of sealed the one half in another dimension so that Morgan wouldn't, her power wouldn't overflow and she wouldn't lose control of it. And it was the intention of him to give her that power back when she was able to. Belial then ends up dying, and nobody knows about this power until a decade later, where Jeddah finds it in the dimension, and it turns out that this fraction of her soul and this power of hers had actually developed its own consciousness and its own kind of individuality. So Jeddah ends up giving it a body to, and now it's kind of capable of thought and everything and physical action, but it didn't at first really have like emotions or experience or like expression. It just kind of had a base instinct for fighting, for using its power, and knowing that it needed to find its other half and being drawn to its other half. So in her official ending, I believe Lilith dies, but then we know that she returns because of the sequels. So point is, Lilith has a very similar moveset to Morgan. She's very capable of using the same abilities that Morgan is able to use, such as flight, shape-shifting, casting illusions, and real-life illusions to a limited degree. Not like manipulating reality, but like magically making things be able to happen, essentially. She's capable of transforming others. She's capable of kind of possessing bodies. She's able to, like one of her finishes lets her create a stage for the opponent to dance on, and if she doesn't like it, they get electrocuted. And ironically, she's able to create clones of herself that can fight alongside her, which is funny because she's a clone of Morgan. Yeah, now, again, like I said, if she's a complete clone of Morgan, well, then this fight's super easy to do. If she's just a chunk of Morgan's power and is less powerful than her, then we've got some, then there's some that to be taken into account. We know that she's, by default, less experienced and, like, not as, like, because she was just given a body literally the day she was unlocked, so I guess she was, like, she's definitely younger than Morgan, but also, like, she had never fought or moved or even, like, understood a concept until she was technically 10. So it's like she never had any experience outside of that. So we know she's a less experienced fighter than Morgan, and we know she's less experienced with using her power, though she does have a kind of, like I said, instinctive drive for it. And we know that there's a possibility, well, so we don't know that, I guess, technically. There is a possibility she's less powerful than Morgan. So in this analysis, it's it's difficult to think of because, like, on one hand, I would think holy weapons would be the perfect way. I mean, it's not written anywhere that she's weak to holy weapons. Maybe I'm just pulling that out of nowhere. But I would think holy weapons would be the number one way to fight a demon or fight a succubus. But on the other hand, Dark Pit's weapons were all given to him by Hades, who is a god. So I mean, it is. I guess they would be still considered holy weapons. Um, but yeah, I don't know how that interaction would work, especially because in Kid Icarus they mainly fight like other gods and each other. So I don't get. So I'm not like super convinced on. Like, that's weird how they never fight like demons or anything. Not that they never do, but they don't really fight demons very often. Um. Now I think scaling to Morrigan, we've probably. I've got to give this to Lilith, right? Because unless there is some sort of implication that, like, yes, Dark Pit's weapons would be specifically effective, but even then, like, I don't see, like, scaling Lilith to Morrigan, even if we take, like, the third of the power thing and the lack of experience, well, like, because Dark Pit was given Pit's basically knowledge and fighting and all of that, like, from his conception, whereas Morrigan was kind of just thrown into the world after being a formless, a formless identity in the void. Even taking all that into consideration, like a third of Morrigan's, well, I guess half of Morrigan's current power, but a third of what would have been her total power. Even if she's half of Morrigan's power, right? She would still be moving half light speed. She'd still be fighting, you know, she'd still be half capable of matching fighters who are like, you know, galaxy, not maybe not galaxy level, but at least interplanetary level, fighters. It's ridiculous to think that Dark Pit would win this, to be honest. He would have factors that enable him to like fight her, like I said, with the weapons and everything, if we go with that. But yeah, this is pretty much a squash, I think, honestly. Um, like I said, it's not very interesting to analyze this because we're just saying Pitt versus Morrigan. And also, there's a lot of like uncertainty because, like I said, Pitt versus Morrigan wouldn't make sense. This makes sense thematically, but it's not as like it's also just like there's no real interaction between the two characters other than maybe the holy weapon thing. But yeah, I think Lilith pretty decisively takes this. This is still a fight I'd like to see. It would just have to be. It would obviously have to be less, more in depth and less giving it less shit than I am basically right now. But yeah, I think this is the best fight for both of these characters, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. Anyway, for Plunge 95. So.